All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our announcements. Again, thank you all for coming and attending the Virtual Agent Academy. As always, I want to point you to our Virtual Agent and NLU community forum. There you'll find the latest resources, FAQs, troubleshooting guides, as well as the ability for you to ask questions there and then give answers. Many of you longtime Virtual Agent attendees are experts by now, and you should definitely feel free to jump in there and provide answers and insights into folks there asking questions. This session is recorded. Every YouTube, VA Academy is recorded, and definitely feel free to take a look at the Virtual Agent Academy playlist. And if you like what you're seeing and you're watching this from YouTube, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. That way you'll be notified every time a recording is uploaded. I usually upload the recording within the week, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Coming soon, we have more academies coming soon for you. So many of you are probably aware we have a mobile academy, a performance analytics or platform analytics academy. Well, coming soon, we're also going to have an MLAI academy led by VA Academy Hall of Famer Nabil Lasby. The first academy is on July 13th. Feel free to register at the also new AI and intelligence community at the bit.ly link there, AIintel.com. Okay, once again, that's AIintel.com, or just go to the community forums and look up the AI and intelligence community. And he has a link where you can register for the first MLAI Academy on July 13th. So today's topic, we're going to talk about how to get user feedback from your virtual agent and agent chat conversations. So this will dive into the configuration for the virtual agent feedback, as well as the agent chat post-chat survey. I think for those of you I met at Knowledge, it's good to see you again here. While at Knowledge, I got a lot of questions, and even outside Knowledge, saying, "Hey, how do I know how people are appreciating my virtual agent, or how do I get user feedback from VA?" Well, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how it gets measured in our analytics and all that good stuff. So here's our agenda. And before I dive in, one more announcement. It's our 50th Virtual Agent Academy, and the emojis are freaky right now without the colors, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I was just to take a look at our playlist earlier, and there are 49 videos in the playlist. That makes this happiest 50th Virtual Agent Academy. Here's another 50 more. So to kick off the Academy, I wanted to show you the new virtual agent feedback UI that came in Rome. So for some of you who seen the feedback survey from Virtual Academy, from Virtual Agent, say in earlier releases, you probably would have seen a older carousel with these large smiley faces that was like shades of green, shades of orange, shades of red. Well, no more. Our feedback component is now much more streamlined with emojis. It's simply good neutral bed right there. And the feedback component also works in Teams and Slack integration. So regardless of where your users are, whether in web or in the messaging app, they'll be able to see this. Okay. So we'll jump in now to the exercise. This is a brief agenda of what the exercise is going to do. So I'm going to pause my screen share to switch over to my other screen with an instance. So here I am. Just let me know if you don't see my instance, but I'm going to first show you all how to turn on the feedback survey, which is pretty easy. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A slot, not the chat, the Q&A. We will read both, but Q&A is obviously much more easier to just jump straight through your questions. So I'm going to start, as always, in the CI homepage. So again, the CI homepage is where all our configurations located as of San Diego. And I'm going to go to Setup Greetings. And Custom Greetings Setup, this is where I set up all my setup topics, right? So greetings, survey, search, fallback topics, etc. When I go to Setup Topics, and one of the setup topic type is survey. and you just add the virtual agent feedback topic here. So I would click into survey. It's already configured here, and I'm just going to show you how you configure it. Click into survey and select the setup topic virtual agent feedback topic right here. This is included for you out of box, so you should have it already. All right. So once you do that, you will have feedback at the end of all your virtual agent conversations. So let's see what that looks like. Well, actually, before we do that, let's dive a little bit deeper into the virtual agent feedback topics. So to show you the inner workings, I'm going to go to the home, and I'm going to open up Designer. So the virtual agent feedback topic is a topic, and we'll go a little bit into how it's built. Okay, look up virtual agent feedback. There it is. It is read-only. If you wanted to modify it for whatever reason, you would simply duplicate it, but essentially only one topic block, the survey topic block. And you see in here the survey ID. So, we'll put this in the back of your head. We're going to revisit this later, but you'll see why or how this is used in a moment. So the feedback topic only has one topic block. And then if you really wanted to, you can go to this, you can look up the survey topic block, and there it is. And it's much more complicated and a bit more high code, so we're not going to go into it, but it's there for if you wanted to take a look at that. Okay, so yeah, again, more importantly, keep that survey ID in mind. That is a assessment type. So again, we'll look at that in a moment. All right, so that's how you configure the feedback survey. That's the inner workings of the feedback survey. Now let's go to, let's demo the survey now. So I'm going to go to service portal right here. I'm going to start a conversation, a virtual agent conversation. Of course, I'm an admin. That's why I have so many issues. I'm just going to run a test topic. Yes, it is. You can see this is my knowledge demo environment. And boom, there's my survey. How's your experience chatting? Good, neutral, bad. I selected good plenty of times actually in the past. I'm going to select neutral just to keep the data interesting. So that's that. So every user who uses VA who ends their conversation naturally will get the survey. Okay. So now, how do I, as an admin or as the owner of the virtual agent, see the results of the survey? Let's take a look. So I'm going to go back to the CI homepage. I'm not going to go to the analytics dashboard. So the analytics dashboard, one of the out-of-box widgets or one of the available widgets is the feedback from your users. So I'm going to, the deflection configuration is not as important. I'm going to extend the timeline just a little bit, say to May, since that includes data from all the knowledges. You'll see at the bottom here, wait for this to load, user feedback. Taking a little longer to load than usual. I guess this will be a good time to take a look at questions. Will every user get the survey, or it depends? That's a good question. We're going to address that right after this thing loads. I'm going to pause share and hit the refresh button. Oh, there it is. There we go. User feedback. You see I had 7 good, 1 neutral. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and keep moving forward. I'll wait for I'll leave that to load later. I've got other things to show you. So that question that just happened, hey, is this survey going to occur to everyone or just a random amount of people? That's configurable. So I can set a probability of when or how often that survey comes up. And to do that, it's a system property. So I'll go into here. In the system properties, but I'll show you the system property. It's called, and I'll post it in a chat, com.glide.cs.survey.probability. So I'm just going to look it up here. I'm going to just look up the word probability, and you'll see it. And I'll post it in the chat as well. Give me just a moment. There it is. And you can see I set the value as 1.0, meaning 100%. If I want, I can set this to any number between, or any decimal number between 0 and 1. I can set it to 0.5. That means the survey will only appear 50% of the time, 0.33, whatever you want. So that's how you set up the how often, or the percentage that the survey appears. Okay. Cool. So that is a virtual agent feedback. So now the next part I wanted to show you all is the post-chat survey after an agent chat conversation. So let's say the user just spoke to the agent, and you want to measure how good or how well the agent's doing. You can have the ability to send the user a survey after that, and let's show how that's working. So I'm just going to soldier on here. So the post-chat survey, very quickly, it does require an agent chat plugin, right? Not Connect Chat, agent chat. So let's jump to advanced work assignment. Under settings, under queues. Okay, so you may have more than one queue, IT queue, HR queue, etc. I only have one queue, the agent chat queue, right? I'm going to click into that, make sure that queue is active, service channel is chat, and I'm going to go to this tab here, post chat survey. Okay, so I click into here. This is a record. Make sure this is active. Okay. I have no conditions, so it's going to appear basically every time, or regardless of what have you. And then here's where I select which survey I want. So by default, you will have a survey in here. I believe this is its service desk post chat survey. This is actually an assessment. So if I drilled into here, you would see that there's an actual assessment metric type, etc. Making sure that this survey is also active, right? And then that's basically the gist of how that's configured. So I will show you how that works. So I'm going to go back to my service portal. I'm going to start a new conversation. And I'm going to start an agent chat conversation. So in my in my other window, I've got Beth Anglin as an agent. You don't see it, but you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to just start a live agent conversation. And I'll have Beth accept. We'll just say hi to each other, and then I'll end the conversation, just getting it over with. I'll have Beth type hi. I'll have the agent type hi. Everything's hunky-dory. And I will have Beth, again, end the chat. And I get a survey. How satisfied? Very dissatisfied. I'll say I'm very satisfied. And this is basically a survey that's been transformed or converted into the virtual agent conversation flow. That's a one-question survey, which is all good. But let's say I wanted to do a bigger survey, right? Or a survey with more questions. I can do that. So let me just start another conversation. But I'm not going to start the conversation quite yet. I'm going to show you how to change the post-chat survey into another survey. So, again, a couple of things to keep in mind. So first, got to make sure this is active. Got to make sure your survey is configured here and that this survey is also active. I'm going to click into here. So this survey is technically called an assessment metric type. I know it's a mouthful, but that's what the surveys are called in ServiceNow. Make sure that survey is published, it's active. And the other way to make sure that field, let me go back for a moment, that this field shows you surveys. Oh, let me, you don't see this pop up, but if I were to click in the magnifying glass, I see a list of assessment metric types that I could select from. You know what, I'm gonna stop share and reshare my desktop so you can see that pop up. Give me just 1 second. All right. See the pop-up? These are all the list of surveys I could use as a post chat. I could even technically use the feedback survey that I used in Virtual Agent. Don't have to, but I can. The question is, like, how do these show up, right? First off, before I go even further than that, again, these are assessment metric types. This feedback survey, remember that SysID I showed you in the survey topic block? That is how this survey gets configured into that virtual agent feedback survey. So if I wanted to change the survey for my virtual agent survey, I could have selected a service desk satisfaction survey or this pre-chat survey. I could have selected any one of these with it to configure into the topic block. But that's what's configured out of box in the read only. That's how you can change the VA survey. I don't recommend. I don't recommend it, but I'm not going to stop you. You can totally do that. If you say, you know what, I want more insights in my virtual agent surveys, I can do that. You can do that. The reason why I don't recommend it is because our Autobots dashboard, our analytics, uses this feedback survey, the smiley face survey. I have yet to experiment how that analytics would measure or work if you're to change the survey. That's why I don't recommend it. That said, obviously, I'm not going to, I wouldn't stop you. So how does that list get populated? Let me go back to, okay, let me go back to this. You go to the assessment metric type record, active published, and this checkbox has to be checked, chat survey. If this is not checked, then this metric, this survey will not appear in that pick list I just showed you earlier, okay? So that's what makes this survey configurable as a post-chat survey, okay? And you can see the metric categories here. Here's the question, right? How satisfied were you is a choice. And if I were to click into here, you would see actually the configuration there. I'm not going to do that. If I wanted to see, I can see, okay, this was run a couple of times last week, once today, right? And then if I wanted to see the results, I just click view scorecard. And there's only one question. Yeah, satisfied, very satisfied. This was the results, right? So that's how you number one, configure which survey to appear in the post-chat survey. And number two, how you ensure that that survey appears in the pick list, is available for selection, and actually shows up. So again, published, active, chat survey is checked. All right. Now, last thing I want to show you is how, oops, I'm going to go back to the queues. Last thing I'm going to show you, I'm just going to change the post-chat survey to another chat survey just to show you just like another possibility, right? And how to do that. Go to the post-chat survey tab, go into here. Again, make sure this flag is active as well. And I can change this to a service desk satisfaction survey. Okay, I'll click update. So now I have a different survey. So when I go to service portal, I'm going to connect to a live agent again. Give our salutations. I'll have Beth end the chat. And now you'll see it's a different survey. Depending on how you configure the survey, it's going to render differently, right? So some experimentation is required just to make sure you have a good experience. This looks all right. The font's slightly different, but not a huge deal. You can just start answering the survey. Again, these are all choice question types or assessment metric types, to use ServiceNow's terminology. And you can see this is just a longer survey. I could skip questions if I want. You can see in the next couple questions, there is an ability to, I can type, all was good. I could, there are open-ended questions as well. Click send, and that's the end of that chat survey. If I wanted to, once again, I could, let me see if I can skip and just jump right to that survey from here. You can see the response trend, view the scorecard, to view the results here. And many more questions, and you can see the results there. Keep in mind, if you use this survey in more than one location, like both for your virtual agent and for somewhere else, you'll see the results combined. So, just as a good practice, you just may want to make sure that you keep your virtual agent and your agent chat and your other types of surveys separate so that you can have, you can more properly measure the results there. Cool, so that's all I had to show. Actually, I have one more thing to show. So this is optional / advanced. Some folks have asked, well, how do I link the particular survey result to a particular interaction? And there's no easy way to do it, but I'll show you the technical way to do it. Okay, and the way to do that, you can see here, these are my most recent interactions here with Beth. If you go to the interaction record, you see the transcript here. There are interaction-related records. So if you were to configure this page, one of the options is called interaction-related records. And here you can actually view your assessment instance. So every time I take an assessment, I take a survey, an assessment instance is created, right, like this. And if I were to click into here, this is essentially the basically the survey, and the survey results, the value, the string value if you typed in a question. And so that's the link, how you hop from an interaction to the assessment instance. Yeah, here's the trigger ID, interaction ID, basically. Here's the assessment instance ID, essentially. So that's how you can link, that's how you can see the relationship. It's not an elegant relationship. I understand that. We're looking into that, but if you wanted to do technically drill into the details, that's how that's done. Awesome. Okay, now I'm really done. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to questions. Just check the chat menu real quick.
Yeah, Victor, we've had a couple in the Q&A. I don't know if you want me to read them and we go through a couple, but there's been some great questions so far on configurability of surveys.
Yeah, let's have them. Oh, fair warning. I am not a survey expert, or I'm not an assessment expert, so I'll do my best.
Okay, great. So this one's really about the system property where you set the percentage to the point where the survey is going to trigger. And the question is, does it trigger by user? Meaning if you have a system property set to 50%, is it going to trigger for that individual unique user every other time, or is this for all concurrent users? And again, if you don't know the answer, we can take this as a follow-up and post to community.
Good question. From experience, it's per interaction, meaning, if one person hit the virtual agent 10 times, on average, they'll get the survey 5 times. It's not like, 50% of your users will get it. No, it's just 50% of the times someone hits the virtual agent.
Okay, great. And the other question was around configurability of surveys. And do you have any recommended practices? So if you want to have different surveys going to different populations, maybe it's surveys going to different role-based groups or different geolocations, do you have any recommendations for best practices there?
There's nothing too crazy to consider. Of course, as I mentioned, you want to make sure that your surveys don't overlap, because when you analyze the results, you want to make sure you're analyzing agent chat surveys. You want to make sure you're analyzing virtual agent surveys separately. The other thing, some things to consider, obviously, as I show you, each queue here has a post-chat survey. I think that's a pretty good way to do it. You want to make sure that you measure the performance of your IT queue or your IT group and versus, say, an HR or legal queue separately, just to make sure that each of these queues or each of the agent groups assigned to these queues are doing well. Other than that, nothing again too crazy. The last thing I will say from experience is that there are many question types you can use. I believe it's 12 plus. Some of them may not render well in virtual agent. For example, I know you can do image scales. I know you can do a variety of other question types. So definitely experiment and test and make sure that the survey renders well in virtual agent. Choice works very well, as you saw. Open text works very well, as you saw. So definitely, if you're going to do something else or do another question type, kick the tires, give it a test.
Yeah, and Victor, just to add to that, and that's a great point, is really be mindful of designing for your end user. So if you want someone to easily and quickly complete a survey, you always want to make it really visible, really easy to do. And then the other thing to remember too is when people complete a survey, they expect a follow-up or an action. So what I've seen some organizations do that works really well is have immediate follow-up if there's a negative result or response from a user, and just have the internal team follow up with that user and collect more information around that. So it usually makes people feel really good and helps turn not so great experience into a positive one.
Yep, good point.
And then one other question, does virtual agent feedback score data include the virtual agent topic itself?
Unfortunately not, at least not today. If I were to click into, yeah, there's nowhere to, well, actually, this is what you can do. I can actually, I didn't show you this because it wasn't loading for me, but I can view, let me do that again because I might have been too fast. You can click into, drill into the good, the neutral, the good in Spanish, the good responses. If I click into it, I can see the conversations that actually were good, and I can view the transcript, I can view the timeline. So that's how, yeah, so the short answer is yes. A bit of manual analysis, but the short answer is yes. I can link or relate good conversations to the topic, the transcript, the conversation details, etc., in the analytics dashboard.
Great. I think that's all the questions for today.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for attending. I will see you all again in a couple weeks for Virtual Agent Academy. Again, the recording will be uploaded for in YouTube, hopefully by the end of this week. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you next time.